Welcome back. Well, with us right now is your security director, Tim Moy. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
I'm great. We have got a good topic to talk about today. And this is something that probably some people heard about, this one incident. In fact, I think these people were at one of the meetings recently. I think it was the third meeting.
Correct.
They got kind of accommodation for this.
Absolutely.
So kind of explain this story, and then we'll get into other things as well.
Sure. I think it was in early April we had an individual who had gained access to the community and who was impersonating a city worker or a maintenance individual and was offering inspections of air conditioning units. And
Right.
unfortunately, once he got inside a residence and out of sight of the owner or the occupant, this individual started to make himself at home and was looking for any valuables within arm's reach and was stealing from our residents here.
Right.
As part of it, the sheriff was involved. They made us aware of it, and this individual attempted to come in again, and thankfully we had two very alert residents who notified security on him.
Which is fantastic. And that's what you want in a community like this. And you've mentioned this many times. We're going to talk about another incident too, that the eyes and ears of the residents, and this is true, of course, in any kind of a community, is much as secure as this is. It's not, it's not a fort.
Exactly. Yeah, this is not a fortress, and the people who know their community, their neighborhood, the best is those who live in it, and they know when there's something out of the ordinary. And just getting back to this situation, it was was a solicitor, or they took it as a solicitor, knowing that soliciting is not allowed here, and they immediately called security, and we were able to get out there and then evaluate the incident. And in this one, we determined that this was that same individual that the sheriff was looking for. We detained him until the sheriffs arrived. And I've talked about the whole collaboration between the community, security, and law enforcement. And this was a perfect example of that, where the community, the residents did their part. They notified security, who was right on scene, and then we brought the sheriff in, and now we have an individual who's resting peacefully in the Orange County Jail for the next year.
Yeah, well, that turned out kind of good. I mean, some people got their stuff taken. I don't know.
Unfortunately,
any of that was recovered, but
right, and that's an ongoing piece of the investigation with the Sheriff's Department that they're handling. They're still looking for additional victims, and again, this individual was targeting the senior communities, which is a despicable thing. Yeah, and not just the village, but other areas.
Kind of doing the same type of
correct,
thing.
Right.
Then afterwards, something did happen very similar. Now, this was a legitimate person, meaning with a legitimate company, with legitimate business, but not legitimate as far as being inside the gates.
Correct. We don't. Right. As I mentioned, we don't allow soliciting, and this person gained access and was very professional. And was approaching some manners, made contact, and was offering a legitimate service. But again, the residents didn't buy into it, knowing the rules here, contacted us. And rather than the resident dealing with the issue and trying to educate them, they let the security do that part of it. Right. We went out, evaluated it, and this was a young man who's trying to make a living, trying to make a sale. But at the end of the day, we warned him for trespass, and if he comes in again, he will be arrested for a trespassing violation. Our feeling is, unless somebody's coming to your door that you've invited, it's your neighbor coming over to borrow some eggs, nobody should be knocking on your door. Yeah, exactly. So the question is that a lot of people have, this has been brought up in many meetings, is how do people get in? We have our security gates, we have the walls, and I know if you've explained, and as we just said, it's not a fortress, so people can get in if they are really determined to do so. Right. Now, I will support the boards. They're being very proactive on this, and with our gate access. Our ambassadors do a great job. Yes, they do. But at times they do get distracted, or they get occupied with a guest, and that leaves the resident lanes open. And if you time it just right, you can zip by there. And they do their best to try to stop those vehicles. And as you know, we've got gates 5 and 6 with the arms. And that's why I bring up the boards, and because they have been so supportive. When we have all the gates, arms in place with the surveillance cameras, we're not going to have those gate runners. We're not going to have people who can wait till it gets a little bit busy in that guest lane and then try to sneak through that resident lane. It does occur. We are trying to be proactive as well. We do checkpoints to try to identify those individuals or individuals who may have an expired pass. So there's some techniques we use to try to prevent it, but at the same time, it does occur on occasion. Not that often, but it does.
And I put the number up on the screen, and this, of course, is a number that people can call for any kind of suspicious reason. And you're saying here, see something, say something, right?
Absolutely. So if anything it looks out of the ordinary, again, going back to the fact that this is your neighborhood, you know what looks normal. You're out there taking walks, just stepping outside, having a cup of coffee in the patio, what have you. You see someone who walks by who's just unknown to the area, we ask that you give a call, but it's more than just that. Maybe it's the contractors that are coming in and they're dumping in our dumpsters. That's not allowed, or they're parking in a certain place, or they're working after hours and creating a nuisance. We're asking you to call on those as well. We do rely on our residents to inform us and what is occurring in their community. Then we do our best to follow up on it, document it, get it over to compliance, and if necessary, bring them in front of a hearing with whatever board the violation occurs in.
And sometimes with a contractor, they may not have been notified by that particular owner getting the work done. Hey, don't dump here. You got to have your work done by this time, or whatever it might be. So,
well, if they've obtained a permit, which they should have, we give them the forms.
And there's the key, they should have.
And so they're responsible for it. Actually, the owner is responsible as well. So we're asking our owners, anytime you bring, you're doing some type of remodel, manor alterations, what have you, make sure your contractor is aware of the rules in here, because at the end of the day, we may identify what the contractor is doing, but we're going to be going after the owner for the violation. They are responsible for the work. Or, matter of fact, they're responsible for anybody coming in that is visiting their manor, any guests, what have you. So, and the same applies for, I would say, some of the illegal occupants that we see here. We have an owner or a lessee who may be renting out a room, which is not authorized here.
Right, exactly.
And we're not asking our residents to be rats or snitches or being the police. We'll do it. We just want to keep this a safe community. We've got about 18,000 residents here. It's a small city, and in order to keep crime down, in the small amount of crime that there is, we need to make sure that those who are allowed in here have access, and those who don't shouldn't. And we want to keep them out. And we're not trying to be this exclusive. We're better than you, but this is a private community, and we want to keep it as such.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question that sometimes I've seen residents ask at meetings: when they should call security, when they should call the sheriff.
This comes up all the time in reference to if it's a medical emergency and we need to get on and dial 911. Just do that. Dial 911. If it's a crime in progress. If they hear something of a criminal nature, notify law enforcement. Security is going to roll as well. If it's a policy issue, if it's a nuisance, if it's a disturbance, if it's a move in, move out, something on a lower level, security will be there as well. But we're going to get that notification as well. But we're looking at, hey, the sheriff is there. They're the law enforcement agency that provides service to the village. So if it's something of a criminal nature, call the sheriff. If you're not sure, call security. And if it's like, well, I don't want to get the sheriff involved, as you're talking to security, they're going to tell you, okay, this is going to rise to the next level. Contact the sheriff's department. So I guess my recommendation on this is, if you're unsure, give us a call and we'll direct you to the right path.
All right, very good. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And again, that number for the Security Division is 949-580-1400. And as Tim has just said, the saying is, see something, say something. Don't worry, maybe it's just nothing, but let security handle that.
That's right. We'll make that determination.
All right, good to see you. We'll be right back.
All right, Michelle. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Kimber Mood with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. We've seen an increase in phone scams where con artists pretend to be someone they are not, including law enforcement officers. Don't be a victim. Trust your instincts. If a call seems suspicious, it probably is. For example, the Orange County Sheriff's Department will never require payment over the phone. If you receive one of these calls, contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department as soon as possible and visit our website to learn more about scams.